The Reality of True Power, Corporate Takeover, Tiny Titan AI, Episode 7. Act 1. The first sleepover morning light spilled into the new room, marking the end of the girls' first sleepover. As they stirred, the silence was broken by the sharp, undeniable rumble of Diane's stomach. She blushed deeply, smoothing her hair with a small, self-conscious gesture. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I'm just a little nervous. It's my first time at a sleepover." She looked up at her hosts, wide-eyed. "Do you guys have any maids that come up to bring us breakfast?" Alex laughed, shaking her head as she slid out of bed. "Maids? Diane, you're not at the mansion anymore. We've got the best service in the world. It's called having 2 legs and walking to the kitchen." The kitchen was already alive with the smell of a perfectly prepared meal. 3 plates sat waiting. Pancakes for Alex with her hidden supplement, and juice for Alice containing a measured half-dose. Alex dove into her breakfast with gusto. "He always does wonderful things like this," she said between happy bites. "It's like he can read my mind. He's probably just downstairs in his lab working on something again." Diane watched them, a complex mix of curiosity and lingering sadness flickering across her face. "My dad works in his lab all the time, too," she admitted. "But I never see him. He's always just locked away." Alice nodded toward the stairs. "Titan's different. Come on, let's go get him." They descended to the lower level, where the hum of technology filled the air. Through the reinforced glass, they caught sight of Titan, a blur of motion at the center of the array, his movements fast and precise. As they approached, the lab door slid open, anticipating their arrival before anyone touched the panel. Titan turned, his face softening into a genuine, warm smile. "Good morning," he said. Alex, who had been creeping forward on her tiptoes, froze mid-step, her stealth act collapsing into laughter. "Oh, come on. I was trying to sneak up on you. How do you always know?" Titan chuckled, a light, easy sound. "I guess you'll have to try harder next time." He stepped away from the holographic interface, the wall of data dimming instantly as he prioritized their presence. "Well, you're caught now," Alex grinned. "Let's go. We're going to eat." Titan didn't hesitate. He didn't glance at a screen or seek to finish his task. He simply walked toward them, ready to transition from his work to their morning. "I'm ready," he said. Diane watched him, clearly amazed. "You're really just going to stop? Right in the middle of everything?" Titan looked at her, his expression radiating a quiet kindness. "Everything else can wait. Breakfast can't." He walked with them, his attention entirely centered on the group. For Diane, it was a transformative moment, a world where she was finally a priority, where there was no maybe later. The morning shift. Inside the penthouse dining area, the air was relaxed, with all 3 girls still in their pajamas. Alex was aggressively fueling up on pancakes, while Alice took slow, measured sips of her shake. Diane sat rigidly, staring at her plate in disbelief before turning her gaze to the head of the table. "Okay, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but this is insane," Diane said, her voice dropping into a starstruck rush. "Nobody our age is doing stuff like this. My dad is always working, and everything at my house is just cold. But you actually sat down and made all of this for us? You're seriously incredible." Alex pointed a fork at her, her mouth full. "Oh my God, Diane, stop staring at him like he's a prize. You're being so weird right now. Just eat." "It's called appreciation, Alex," Diane snapped back. "Some of us actually have manners instead of chewing like a lawnmower." Alice ignored the bickering, watching them with a quiet smirk before glancing toward the head of the table. Titan sat motionless, looking deeply exhausted, still wearing his clothes from the night before. He set down his glass, his expression flat as he met Diane's gaze. "Don't worry about her," Glad you like the food, Dee. Diane froze, a deep blush staining her cheeks as she looked down, permanently adopting the new nickname. Alex snickered. Pfft. Dee. Yep, you're officially part of the crew now. Good luck. The private elevator chimed and the VP stumbled out, clutching a tablet to their chest, breathless. Titan, sorry to interrupt family breakfast, but the lobby downstairs is a straight-up circus. Reps from Apex Sports and Global Tech just showed up. Zero warning. Titan didn't flinch, lifting his glass for a slow, measured sip. Apex and Global. They haven't chased after me since they tried to corner me at my graduation. Why are they here? They never cared about the twins. They're still hunting you, sir, the VP panted. They brought acquisition paperwork. They're basically begging to fall under the Twinstar Group because they know you're the one really running everything behind the scenes. They'll take whatever scraps you dictate as long as they get a piece of your tech. The room fell silent. Titan set his glass down with a heavy, final click. Without looking up, he cut his eyes toward Alice. Alice, go down there with the VP and handle it your way. Let them know exactly what it costs to stand under our roof now. Go get ready. Alice set her napkin down, her expression shifting into something sharp and clinical. She nodded once and headed for her room. Titan turned to the blushing girl. Dee, go ahead and explore the building. Have some fun checking out the different floors while we take care of business. Go get dressed first. As the room cleared, Titan's shoulders finally slumped under the weight of his exhaustion. He looked over to Alex, his eyes shifting subtly. Alex, go change. You're coming with me to check out the hub. I need to get out of these clothes anyway. Alex's eyes widened with a mischievous, comedic grin as she stood up, pointing her fork at him. Oh? Sneaking away from the chaos just to go on a date with me, huh? Smooth, Titan. Very smooth. Let me go get my flyest outfit. Titan offered a faint, tired smirk, rising from the table as they all scattered to prepare for the day. Act 3. The Price of Admission. The CEO office was a sprawling, high-tech fortress. By the door, the butler stood like a silent, immovable mountain of shadow. Inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. Dr. Elena Voss was frantic, her professional composure shattered. Beside her, the men from Apex Sports stood stiffly. Lennox Reed was pale with dread, while his partner stood like a statue in form-fitting tactical battle armor, a silent testament to the technology they were failing to master. Dr. Elena Voss stepped forward, her voice cracking as she leaned toward Alice's desk. We have hit a wall, Miss Twinstar. Our R&D is a graveyard. Nothing we build passes the next stage of stress testing. We don't need a meeting. We need Titan's eyes on our structural data. If he doesn't audit our code, the board will liquidate us by sundown. Please, just one look at the files. Lennox Reed looked at his partner, then back at Alice, his voice tight and drained of all arrogance. She's right. We're in the same boat. We've poured billions into our biomechanical gear, but it's stagnant. It's useless compared to what you have here. We don't want a partnership anymore. We just need his designs to save our equipment or we're finished. We're begging you. Put us in front of him. Alice didn't move. She allowed the silence to stretch until the air felt heavy enough to crush them. The butler shifted his weight, the rhythmic thud of his boots making the men flinch. You're in the Twinstar Group headquarters, Alice said, her voice cold and dangerously quiet. You're standing on the foundation my parents built, and you are wasting the time of the person who owns every brick of this building. She stood, moving slowly around the desk. She didn't look at them as individuals. She looked at them as wreckage. You have a fundamental misunderstanding. You think this is Titan's playground, and I'm just his shadow. You think you're here to beg for his genius because you're failing. Titan creates because he loves the craft. But he builds for this family. He's a man who would move heaven and earth for his princess. He doesn't listen to you, and he doesn't work for your boards. He listens to me. She stopped directly in front of Dr. Elena Voss, who gripped the edge of the desk to remain upright. If I tell him to audit your failures, he will, not for your money, but because I asked, Alice continued. If I tell him you aren't worth the processing power to delete your files, then your companies vanish before the sun goes down. Dr. Elena Voss began to sob, a sound of pure, unadulterated defeat. Then tell him, she whispered. Please, we'll do anything. I don't care about your liquidation. I care about control. Alice pulled the acquisition papers from her drawer and slid them across the desk. Sign. Total ownership. Zero autonomy. When the ink is dry, I'll decide if you're worth a minute of his time. Lennox Reed looked at his motionless partner, then at the collapse of the woman beside him. He grabbed a pen, his hand shaking, and signed. The others followed suit, their heads bowed in surrender. Alice turned to the VP, her voice cold and professional. Assign Apex Floor 2. Global Tech gets Floor 3. They move in by Monday. Apex is to immediately begin testing our nanofiber on their gear. Global Tech stays on ice until I consult with Titan. She returned to her monitor, effectively erasing them from her reality. Get them out of my sight. The butler opened the door with a final heavy thud, ushering the broken group out. Alice remained in her office, the absolute ruler of her empire, finally alone in the silence of her own making.